welcome to another episode of Sports and Discourse with your host, Derek Stevenson. And on today's episode, we got to talk about this new NBA age limit. And I got my guy, Ike Barron, on the line, and we going to get into it. Ike, what's up with you, dog?
What's going on with you, player?
Hey, man, listen, it's been kind of slow with college basketball and, different things like that. But I definitely am kind of interested to hear people's thoughts on this new NBA age restriction or lack thereof now. So what's going on is the NBA has the one and done rule, which states that you have to be 19 years old or removed from college basketball for one full season. You could just be out of basketball.
High school.
Oh, yeah.
High school basketball.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. My apologies. Removed from high school basketball for one full season. You could either just be sitting out, or you could be playing overseas, or you could go the NCAA route. But they are, in fact, renegotiating, changing that. And basically, it's just going to go back to you can leave straight out of high school and go to the NBA. So how do you actually feel about that rule change?
I love it. I'm old school, so I wish they never would have changed it in the first place. I mean, it makes no sense. If you're good enough to go to the league, let them go to the league. It also helps college basketball out a lot, in my opinion, because it takes away a lot of that one and done. Like, players now will be at school for a couple of years. I mean, you'll get a select few every now and then that'll go to college for 1 year, and they'll be good enough to go to the NBA. But most of the ones coming out of high school that's good enough to go to the NBA are going to enter the draft. It's going to screw over some of them players because some of them players aren't going to get drafted. And then they won't be able to go to college. Play college ball. I mean, they can go G League or go overseas or whatever and hope to get picked up in the NBA, by a team in the future. But for college basketball, it's a big plus.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually said that about the G League, because unfortunately, I feel like the G League is gonna get super strong because of this. Because here's the thing, they just changed the rule to where now basically the players can test the waters all the way up until the draft and then decide to come back to college, right? So I feel like it's going to be a whole lot of misinformation with who's draft ready, who's not. And like you said, there's going to be like those standouts that they're going to know, like you getting drafted. But the guys that's kind of like in the middle ground, I feel like it's going to be super tricky for those guys because they're not really going to have accurate enough information to see where they're going to place themselves. And then if they get left out, they're just going to be stuck. Because now they're going to have foregone their eligibility for the NCAA, and they're going to have to just basically sit in the G League. So that's the only part that kind of scares me a little bit.
Well, I mean, the top-notch high school players are probably going to go, they're going to go in the draft. Then most of them are probably going to get drafted. The ones who are kind of like on the fence, they're great high school players, but they're not on any mock drafts, or, they're not being looked at like that. A lot of them are probably still going to go to college. Right now, you still can get paid.
One thing that
you can get paid in college, so it's not a bad thing to go to college, especially if you don't know. Now, if they're telling you you're a first round pick or definitely a lottery pick, you coming out of high school, you better enter that draft and get that money. But if not, if they saying second round to late second round undrafted, go on to college, man, and get an NIL deal and get paid.
Do you think that that's actually going to strengthen a whole lot of NIL deals? Because if you're recruiting a player, and I know technically the colleges can't pay the players, right? So it's businesses, and we know how it goes. There's going to be businesses connected to the colleges, but basically the money is going to come from the college. But the point I'm trying to ask is, do you feel like this is going to make the NIL deals go up? Because now they not only competing with other schools, but they're going to have to be competing with basically to keep these kids from going to the NBA. And if you look at it, the majority of the first round money is over $1 million. So in order to keep some of these kids in college, do you feel like the NIL deals are going to skyrocket now because of that?
I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is I think those players are going to go to the NBA. That's their dream. They're going to go and they're going to get paid. Now you have these other players now who weren't the top 15 players in high school in the nation that are going to, you got some of them that are going to go to college. They're going to get NIL deals. I actually think that they're going to get offered less money than some of these superstars that are coming out of high school into college right now. I mean, they're still going to get paid, but I don't see like you got Wagner that's getting ready to come out. He would get a big time NIL deal. But if they make it to where he can go straight to the NBA, he's gone. So then you get a player that's, ranked number 25 in the nation. He's coming out. He's going to get an NIL deal. They're not going to give him what Wagner would have got. So I think those businesses save a little money. College would be a lot stronger. Like you said, G League's going to be strong. It's going to be super strong. And some of these young kids going to go to the NBA. They're going to get paid. Now you're going to have some of these young kids, like we've seen it, big names in high school. They get to college and they're not as good. They don't get drafted, or they get drafted in the second round and they don't get that big time money. They're going to get it because teams are going to take a chance on them without seeing them play any kind of college ball or overseas ball or G League ball.
Let me ask you a question, right? I'm going to compare it to the NFL. And this is what I've been seeing, right? A lot of these one and done players, to me, haven't really actually been ready right out the gate. And usually I feel like it takes them like 3 to 4 years before they really are like able to be like reaching their peak. Even if you look at like Anthony Davis, the first couple of years, he wasn't really that good. Then like his third or fourth year, he took off, and the list goes on and on. So to me, what kind of worries me is if I was like a owner of a team, I would rather draft these players a little bit older, because what I see happening a lot is you get guys like Zion Williams, who realistically, he showed a lot of potential, but he really hasn't performed up to like maximum contract level. And they basically had to pay the kid to keep him from going somewhere else, but they really haven't actually got to get the best basketball out of him. And the reason why I'm asking is because the NFL, when they make you wait 3 years, the majority of the first round picks in the NFL come in and they are ready to contribute immediately.
Yeah, that's true. Now Zion, he's just been injured, but when he's on the floor, he's showing that he's worth the money. I mean, I don't say that them staying in college longer makes them stronger. Or I mean, like not stronger like in strength, but like stronger in value, because we've seen people go straight out of high school to the NBA and be rock stars. We've seen the Garnetts and we've seen the LeBron Jameses and Kobe's. Even though Kobe, like that first year, he wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes, just getting a feel. But I'm not taking a chance on missing on them guys and drafting some of these older players.
But do you feel like that type of player still exists? Because I haven't seen any LeBrons or Garnetts lately. Now, I feel like there was a few when this one and done era first started, but lately I feel like a lot of these guys that are the top 5, top 10, they've been good ball players, but I don't know if they really been comparable to those guys. Would you agree?
I agree.
Because even if you look at like Carl Anthony Towns, he who ended up being the number one pick, but shit, when he was in college, he was only ranked like 11th or something like that, and it was obvious that he wasn't ready yet. Now, I know some people go, well, it's just 1 year or whatever, but that 1 year of experience does seem to help these players a lot. And then, like I said, usually it's that third year in the NBA where they really come alive.
Well, see, I wouldn't say it helps them a lot when they go to certain schools. Kentucky, Duke, like those two, like really, like those two schools are probably the best at it because they get them ready for the NBA. They play a lot of NBA style play, so those players are getting ready. Now, you go, you go to Ole Miss or you go to some of these other schools that's a little smaller, Maryland and teams like that. I mean, they're not. Are you really developing? You can probably develop more by practicing in the NBA on the NBA team.
Yeah, that's true.
Even Kentucky and Duke, you're gonna develop more practicing against NBA players.
That's true. Um, well, to me, like I just feel like a lot of them, like when I look at a lot of the recruits coming to Kentucky, like I seen a picture the other day of Ugana Kingsley at practice, and he was battling for a rebound with Oscar Sheway, and he just was so much smaller than Sheway, and that's the part that like kind of worries me. Is just like when you draft these players, it's almost like you do have to be willing to pay them for 2 years of just development, even if you draft them high and they're going to be on the court. Like I said, it's just like it's difficult because you really not getting the best out of them until their contract is up. And I feel like back in the eras before a lot of the high school players was getting drafted straight out of high school, you just had more guys come in that was NBA ready sooner because they played more years in college. Um, but how do you think that this is going to actually affect schools like Kentucky and Duke?
They're still going to be the top notch in recruiting. I mean, all the schools will miss out on these players that's going straight to the NBA. Now it's going to be a battle of getting the top players who aren't going into the draft. I
The,
mean, so it's still the programs will still be good. And what'll help Kentucky and Duke as well is now they will get some players who will stick around for 2, 3, 4 years,
the,
which is gonna help a lot. That's why I said this is gonna help college basketball a lot.
the last couple of years, it seems like Kentucky's been utilizing the transfer portal a lot. Do you think that this is going to be even more impactful now? Do you think that they'll look for more older, experienced players since they might have trouble gauging? Because, like, the reason why I'm asking is because if you look at a guy like DJ Wagner is taking the whole process in. He's here lately I haven't heard anything. So I maybe the schools that's talking to him, maybe they know more information than I do. But right now, if based on what I know, if he was able to go to the draft at this point, I would almost be scared to continue recruiting him, and I might have to start looking at other places because I wouldn't want to be in a situation like Louisville was when they could have got Rajon Rondo, but they missed on him because they went after Sebastian Telfair, and then Sebastian ended up going to the NBA, and Rondo went to Kentucky. So do you think that they might start leaning on the transfer portal even more?
Uh, I would say so, because a lot of these transfer players are still pretty damn good. Um, they might not be NBA talent yet, but they're still great college talent. So yeah, I think the Dukes and the Kentuckys, the Kansas, the North Carolinas, those schools, they're gonna go after transfers, but they're still gonna be battling for those top high school players who aren't going to the draft.
Do you like the way Kentucky has been building the roster since the transfer portal became into play, or did you like having more of the younger players?
Um, I would say now I like it better right now, only because me as a UK fan, like I'm a realistic UK fan. Most UK fans think we're supposed to win it every year and all that. Like I know that's not gonna happen. It just doesn't happen. But I like to know who the players are. And every when it's the one and dones every single year, it's like now I'm trying to figure out everybody's name. Okay, who's wearing number 22? Who was that? What's his name? And like it gets old. Like I'm 80s baby, so growing up in the 80s and 90s, we knew the players and they were going to be around for a few years. You might lose one or two after a couple seasons, but you was able to really get to know who those players are, and that's what I like. And I mean, even now, you still don't get that even with the transfer portal because you're getting them basically for 1 year, maybe two at the most. Uh, I think this going straight out of high school is going to help, and it's going to help fans like me be able to appreciate the college basketball game again. Because here lately, I just haven't been a huge fan of college basketball like I used to be.
Yeah, I actually feel like a lot of people are gonna feel exactly how you feel because you know the last couple of years the fan base been really divided, and it mostly is because I think a lot of people are getting fed up um with the whole. I feel like a lot of the fans are just feel like they being used, like they feel like they I would say they feel like they're giving all their support and energy to players that they probably feel like don't really care as much about the school. And even though I think that the kids care while they're here, but I think ultimately their number one goal is to get to the NBA, and I think it annoys a lot of the fans. So I do feel like a lot of people are going to actually be excited because we are going to get players that are going to have to develop for several more years. And I think overall it'll probably actually help college basketball as well. It's just kind of crazy because I feel like I'm kind of torn down the middle because I do like the excitement of like next year when we get like a class full of superstar prospects. I kind of started to enjoy some of that because it kind of brought back that feeling of Kentucky being like a top program when Calipari came and started bringing all these guys in. So I was just completely torn, man. But I feel that most people are going to feel like you. And
Well, when you say like me, because I'll go back to what you was just saying about fans feeling like they're being used. I'm not that fan. Like when people was upset with Shaden Sharp because he went into the draft. Not me. I'm not upset about that at all. I don't feel used. The guy came to Kentucky. He probably really didn't know what he was going to do. He was coming off an injury, so he don't know if the NBA is going to still be like, "What we want, we want you. You're a lottery pick or whatever." He didn't play at UK for that season. He probably might have been thinking about coming back until they started telling him, "You're going to be drafted here." He would have been a fool to come back to school.
yeah,
My son ain't coming back to school unless he wanted to. But if he's like, man, daddy, I want to go to the NBA, man, well, we going. That's a whole lot of money to turn down. And like I said, that's the dream. You young and you playing basketball, your dream is to go to the NBA. Your dream ain't to play college basketball. I mean, that's a goal. Your dream is to play in the NBA.
yeah. I think I think with the transfer portal and still, like you said, Kentucky being one of the top programs, regardless, I think we might be able to build some strong teams because I feel like college basketball has really been lacking strong teams over the last several years. You know, some of these some of these teams like North Carolina, they brought a whole bunch of people back. Uh, Even though Kentucky didn't really finish the job or they didn't even get started on the job last year, to be honest. But they brought most of their team back. I feel like this new era is going to restart the strong, like dynasty style teams where you have one team that's just super good by that time they got juniors and seniors. And I think overall college basketball will have like you said, I think it'll be better overall because at the end of the day, when you have more physically developed guys, you have more mentally stronger, more guys with more of a polished skill level. I think it's going to just overall make basketball better because one thing that always hurts Kentucky in the beginning is when you get these guys coming from high school to college, they have to relearn the game and they have to figure out where they can attack at. They turn the ball over a lot. They don't seem to know what they're doing. And eventually, by the time they're juniors and seniors, you won't even have to worry about that. You can just put them on a court and they know what to do. They're gonna know what their strengths are. They're gonna know what their weaknesses are, and you get the best out of them. So I definitely I feel like it could be an exciting time for basketball again, man.
I tell you this, man, another thing that I just thought about is me as a UK fan, something else that I would like about this is that UK players, a lot of them players won't transfer out now. Because we see a lot of people transfer out only because each year there's these big name, top notch high school players that are coming in and they're still not getting clocked. So then the next year we're reloading with these big name players again, and they're still not getting clocked. So they transfer. Now these players, if those top notch high school guys are going to the NBA, these players are going to be better or on the same level as the other players that are coming in. So I feel like we won't see a lot of these guys transferring out.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point, actually. They won't be as worried about their playing time and their ability to develop on the court. So yeah, you're right. That might actually help Kentucky and those type of schools a lot, man. Because like you said, we've lost a lot of players, and it's probably just them just being unsure of how they're going to fit into next year's team. And a lot of the times that's probably stopped Kentucky from having a strong team because I remember certain teams where I'm like, man, if so and so didn't transfer last year, he would be filling this spot that we need right now, and we could and that's the one hole that we end up having that'll stop us from being a strong team. But I understand the kids' mentality because you just never know where you're gonna fit, and especially now that they tell you can move freely. A lot of these kids feel like, why would I stay and sit on the bench? So I definitely agree with you, man. That's a very good point, actually. I can't
It's
wait.
just like, man, I hated to lose Hopkins.
Yeah,
Man, I was thinking he was going to be the next real deal for us.
yeah,
But him leaving out because we bringing in all these players and he don't want to take his sophomore year and be sitting on the side and not really seeing the floor or only getting a couple of minutes here and there. These guys don't want that. They want to go play ball so they can show their skill set because they are trying to live their dream, and that's go to the NBA.
yeah. You actually right, man. And I think he made the best decision because based on what I seen of the team this year, I don't think he would have fit in with them. I think he would have been left out again because certain guys improved, and then they brought in some guys like Livingston and Wallace that even though they freshmen, but they look ready to go. You're not going to be able to keep them on the bench. I didn't think Toppin was going to go to the next level that he looks like he went to. Even Collins looks like he's stepped his game up a lot. So yeah, he probably made the right decision, man. But yeah, man. But anyways, I guess we can wrap it up right there, man. I appreciate you sitting down with me. And man, I'm excited, man, to see what's gonna happen. But yeah, I think Kentucky's gonna be all right, man.
But until college basketball starts, we're gonna keep it with college football, man. Go Big Blue.
Absolutely, man. And I definitely had to have you on here. We had to get into some Kentucky football stuff too, man.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it, man. I told you I haven't been excited about college basketball for a few years. College football, I have been very excited about these, like really these last 5 years, just seeing the team grow and progress, man. Stoops is doing big things. I love it.
Absolutely, man. We might be the biggest threat to Georgia in the East, man. We'll see, man.
Let's get it.
Yes, sir. But anyways, man, I appreciate you, and we'll get back at it next time, man. Sports and Discourse with your boy Derek Stevenson.